for today's matchup between your Alabama State Hornets and the FAMU Rattlers. Joseph Moore here in the broadcast booth, where today is the second weekend of SWAC competition, and we're going to have a great matchup for you today between FAMU and Alabama State. FAMU, over last weekend in their softball matchups, they lost 4-1 to Bethune-Cookman. They won 9-1 against Bethune-Cookman. And the final matchup, they lost 8-3 in competition against Bethune-Cookman. However, this weekend, FAMU will be taking on your Alabama State Lady Hornets. We've got a 3-game series coming up, starting at 5 p.m. with first pitch, tomorrow at 3 p.m., and 1 p.m. on Sunday. And as a lot of you have been paying attention throughout the area, we've got some storms coming into the area. So if anything were to change, you can always find us on our social media platforms as well as BamaStateSports.com. And we're going to give your starting lineups for today's matchup. Florida A&M comes in 10-12 on the year. Leading off for the Rattlers, number 14, center fielder Janiah Davis. Batting second, number 4, right fielder Michaela Irvis. Batting third, number 13, second baseman Destiny Cuevas. In the fourth spot, number 18, catcher Nia Morgan. Batting fifth, number 8, first baseman Janiah Mobley. Batting sixth, number 2, shortstop Amaya Gaynor. Batting seventh, number 19, Natasha Fox, who will be the designated hitter. Batting eighth, number 5, left fielder Mia Blassingame. And finally, batting ninth, number 6, third baseman Kanaya Watson. The starting pitcher, number 17, who is a right-handed pitcher, Nadia Zentino. We're going to pause for the national anthem, and we will come back with Alabama State starting lineups. And now we'll give you the starting lineups for your Alabama State Lady Hornets, who come in 15-13, coached by head coach Todd Bradley. Batting first, number 1, center fielder Kendall DeRamus. Number 2, batting second and number 2, right fielder Madison Myers. Batting third, number 5, left fielder Alexia Denby. Batting fourth, number 27, first baseman Alex Preston. Batting fifth, number 21, shortstop Elena Scott. Batting sixth, number 22, third baseman Kiana Parrish. Batting seventh, number 8, the designated hitter Jasmine Rogers. Batting eighth, number 13, catcher Madison Britt. And finally, batting ninth, number 14, second baseman Jada Gardner. And pitching tonight for the Alabama State Lady Hornets, number 3, right-handed pitcher Bailey Greenlee, who comes in with a 2.58 batting average with 8 wins and 5 losses on the year. So we'll be having her practicing pitches so far as we get ready for today's matchup between Florida A&M and Alabama State. It's the first again of a 3-game series here in Montgomery this weekend, as we'll have the first pitch coming up at 5 p.m., 3 p.m. tomorrow, and 1 p.m. on Sunday. And as you can see right now, Bailey Greenlee is warming up here. Going to be a great game here today, as I mentioned earlier, Florida A&M had a couple of tough matchups with Bethune-Cookman last weekend, but we'll see how this one will go today, as Alabama State, however, lost against Jacksonville State 13-1 Wednesday night. So we'll see if they can regain some momentum this weekend against the Florida A&M Rattlers, who are coming from Tallahassee, Florida. And the first pitch at 5:01 p.m. is called for ball 1. And what a great weekend for softball, by the way. Temperature here in Montgomery is a warm 82 degrees compared to last weekend, and also the weekend before that. A little cool temperatures here in March, but I think we are on the upswing for some great weather coming up. However, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we've got some storms coming through, as that pitch thrown by Bailey Greenlee is ball 3, as Janiah Davis, with a .313 batting average, is up to bat at this moment. But if anything were to change over the weekend, make sure you stay tuned to our social media pages, as Janiah tried to bunt the ball off and bounced back for foul. Great crowd on hand here in the capital city. And to give you an update, Alabama State baseball is leading 4-2. And we'll give you some updates throughout the game. And big hit by Janiah Davis, popped up into center field, and that will be out number 1 for the Rattlers. And up to bat right now, Michaela Irvis, the senior, .333 batting average, and she's called for strike 1. And the pitch by Greenlee is called ball 1. I think it might have been a little bit on the corner of the plate there. Count now 1-1 for Irvis. And the 1-1 pitch is called for ball number 2. And Irvis pops it up big time again into center field, and that will be out number 2 for the Rattlers. And now coming up to bat, number 13, second baseman Destiny Cuevas. And the first pitch by Greenlee is called for strike one. Florida A&M 10-12 overall. And in the conference, in the SWAC conference, they are 4-2 on the year. We'll give you some updates on the conference standings as we go around the SWAC here in just a moment. And to give you some SWAC standings right now, Alabama State leads the conference 4-1 in the Eastern Division, and Grambling State, who is 6-0 on the year, they're tied with Prairie View A&M for second place in the West standings. Grambling is winning big in the conference, by the way. They are 28-1 overall. Pitch count now is 1-2 for Cuevas. And the pitch is fouled back. Count still 1-2, 2 outs. And the 1-2, did she go? It looks like it's going to be 2-2. Give you some updates right now as we check some scores. We'll give you some of those in just a little bit. And the 2-2. Man, oh man, I think Greenlee thought it was going to be strike three, but now full count for 3-2. And Greenlee with a 3-2 pitch. And she is called for strike number 3, which will make out number 3. We will have, with no runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base, we head to the bottom of the first inning. No score in Montgomery. And welcome back to the capital city as Alabama State comes up to bat. As I mentioned, Alabama State has a 15-3 overall record, and they are 4-2 coming into conference play. And the first pitch by Zentino is called for ball one as Kendall DeRamus, 294 batting average, is now up to bat for the Lady Hornets. And the next pitch is called for strike number 1. And the 1-1 pitch is thrown in the dirt for ball 2. Just wanted to let you know if we are streaming live today here at the Barbara Williams Softball Complex. You can find us on BamaStateSports.com, and the 2-1 pitch is fouled back for strike number 2. Or you can find us on our YouTube page at Bama State Sports. Just do a search for us there, Alabama State Sports, and we'll have all the live action. Just scroll through and you'll find our live feed here today. And the 2-2 is in the dirt and outside the plate for full count, 3-2. As you're watching here, Florida A&M, 80-degree temperatures, dressed in all black. At least it is getting, at least it'll be a little cooler as the evening wears on. And, of course, Alabama State in their all-white uniforms here today. The 3-2 is popped, bobbled by the shortstop, and Kendall DeRamus will get on first base. And coming up to bat now, the senior with a .420 batting average, right fielder, number 2, Madison Myers. And the first pitch to Myers is called for ball 1. And the 1-0. And DeRamus steals second and is safe at second base. The 2-0 is called for strike 1. And Myers goes for the bunt, but is fouled back for strike number 2. We've got batters 3, 4, and 5 coming up next. And the 2-2 pitch is popped towards the shortstop, thrown over to first, bobbles it, and is safe at first, and going to bring in the run, does DeRamus, for a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning. And what a great lineup. I mean, the batting averages, Kendall DeRamus 294, Madison Myers 420, 354 for our batter coming up next, Alexia Denby. You've got your heavy hitters at the top of the lineup. And the sophomore, Alexia Denby, coming up next. And pitch thrown outside for ball 1. And the 1-0 pitch is called for strike 1. Big strike by Denby. And Zentino with a 2-1 pitch. Just a little bit in the dirt, making it 2-1. And again, the 2-1 is hit to the shortstop. That's been 3 times that she has not caught the ball hit straight to her.
Hornets, first baseman, number 27, Alex Preston.
And that will leave batter on first and one on second. A runner on first and runner on second. And we've got a little discussion here. I believe we're going to bring in a pinch runner, and we are going to bring in Janiyah Boykin to second base.
Running for the Hornets, number 25, Janiyah Boykin.
And the first pitch is fouled back behind the dugout for strike number 1. And the 0-1 pitch is thrown to third. And she is safe. Boykin is safe at third by the fingertips. And now with the 0-2 pitch for Preston. And just a little bit outside for ball 1. And the 1-2 is popped up to the pitcher, and that will be out number 1 for Alabama State.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, shortstop number 21, Elena Scott.
And up to bat now in the 5th spot, number 21, Elena Scott. And the first pitch thrown to Scott is called for strike 1. And the 0-1 as Scott tried to bunt. And we've got Denby on second. And Boykin is still on third. And the 0-2 is called for ball number 1. And the 1-2 pitch is fouled back. Elena, the freshman, she's been one of the great hitters in the lineup. And the 2-2 is popped to the pitcher and called for out number 2.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, third baseman number 22, Kiana Parrish.
And Kiana Parrish is up to bat, the third baseman, number 22. And the first pitch thrown to Parrish is called for strike 1. 2 outs, bottom of the first. 1-0 your score. Alabama State leads. And the 0-1 pitch is called for ball 1. And the 1-1 pitch is called out number 3 with interference by the runner from second. And that will be out number 3 as we head to the top of the first inning. Alabama State leads 1-0 over FAMU. Be back in just a moment. And welcome back to the capital city in Montgomery as Alabama State leads FAMU 1-0 as we move to the top of the second inning. And just to give you a recap, as the first pitch by Greenlee is thrown back. Again, Alabama State in the bottom of the first had 1 run, 2 hits, 2 errors, and 2 left on base. And we move to the second inning. As up to bat for FAMU is number 18, Nia Morgan. And Greenlee with the pitch is called for ball number 1. And Greenlee with a 1-1. Nia swings big. As Greenlee kind of threw it a little high. And towards the corner of the plate. And caught Nia Morgan swinging wildly. And the 1-2 pitch is in the dirt for ball number 2. And that will be strike number 3 for Nia Morgan.
Number 8, Janaea Mobley.
And the pitch by Greenlee is called for strike one. One out here in the top of the second. Greenlee with the 0-1 is kind of bobbled as Mobley hits it towards the third baseman, which will lead Mobley over to first base.
Shortstop number 2, Amaya Gaynor.
That'll be a fielding error for the Hornets. And Greenlee with the first pitch to Amaya Gaynor is called for ball number 1. And just to give you an update, as Alabama State is playing at Jackson State today, the pitch by Amaya Gaynor is fouled back into left field. Alabama State leads Jackson State 5-2 in the top of the 9th inning with no outs. Greenlee with the 1-1 as Gaynor hits it over to the second baseman, and that'll be out number 2 for the Rattlers. And the first pitch to Natasha Fox is called for strike 1. And the 0-1 is swung wildly by Natasha Fox. And Greenlee with the 0-2. Does she go? Yes, she does. And that will be strike number 3, which makes out number 3 for the Florida A&M Lady Rattlers. And with no runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left on base, we move to the bottom of the second inning with Alabama State 1, FAMU 0. And welcome back to Montgomery. Alabama State holding on to a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the second inning as Jasmine Rogers, the designated hitter, is up to bat. And if you are keeping up with the baseball game in Jackson, Mississippi, as Rogers hits it to the shortstop and thrown over to first base for out number 1.
Next up at bat for the
Again,
Hornets,
Alabama State
catcher
is
number
leading
13,
Jackson State
Madison
5-2 with 1 out in the top of the 9th inning. And up to bat now, Madison Britt in the 8th spot will have batters 9, 1, and 2 coming up next for the Hornets. And a high and outside pitch by Zatino is called for ball number 1. And the 1-0 pitch, again in the same position, makes it 2-0. Zatino will definitely sling the ball in there, as you can see, as that will be called strike 1 for Madison Britt. She's definitely slinging them in there, but she's been outside a bunch of times during this game today, as we're just beginning. And Britt will hit it towards the second baseman, rolls out to center field, and that will put Britt on first. And now coming up to bat, here's one of the heavy hitters in the lineup with a .357 batting average, number 14, second baseman Jada Gardner. And we've got a timeout here on the field as the coach for FAMU will head into the circle, pitcher circle there. Oh my goodness. We always have an entertaining press box. Which that was perfect music. All right, Jada Gardner back in the batter's box. And the first pitch to Gardner is called for ball 1. And the 1-0 pitch is right on the corner of the plate for strike 1. Bottom of the second inning, 1 out for Alabama State. Pitch count to Gardner, 1-1. And the next pitch, thrown a little low and in the dirt for ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike. And the 2-1 is thrown for for strike 2. 2-2 the count. And Zadino with a 3.50 ERA on the season. And the 2-2 is called for ball 3. Full count for Jada. One out here. And the full count pitch is called for strike number 3. That'll make 2 outs for the Lady Hornets and bring up the top of the lineup, Kendall DeRamus. 2 outs for the Lady Hornets here in the bottom of the second inning. And the first pitch to DeRamus is called for strike 1. And again, giving you an update, Alabama State 6, Jackson State 2, top of the 9th with 1 out as The Hornets are in Jackson, Mississippi today. And the bunt by DeRamus is hit to the pitcher, and safe at first is DeRamus. And that'll bring up second in the lineup, right fielder number 2, Madison Myers. And that is a correction. We've got Janiah Boykin in the lineup. And coming in to pinch run at second base, number 9, Jordan Capel. And the first pitch to Boykin is called for ball 1. And Zenteno with the 1-0 pitch is tipped back for strike number 1. And the 1-1 is called for ball 2. Two on the count with 2 outs. And is fouled back into the net here for strike number 2. And the 2-2, does she go? No, it'll be full count for Boykin, 3-2. Got to guard the plate here, Boykin. And fouled back as she's still battling at the base, or at the plate, excuse me. 3-2 still the count with 2 outs. And the 3-2 as she is struck out for strike 3, and that'll make out number 3 as we head to the top of the 3rd inning with no runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 left on base. We'll head to the top of the 3rd inning. Alabama State still holding on to a 1-0 lead over Florida A&M. We'll be back live after this. And welcome back to Montgomery as the first pitch was thrown by Greenlee for ball number 1. And the 1-0 pitch is bunted and hit over to the third baseman, and safe at first is number 5, Mia Blasingame.
Next up, batting for the Rattlers, third baseman, number 6.
And as they reach the bottom of the lineup here, batting, number 6, third baseman, Kiana Watson. Again, they'll reach the top of the lineup after this, as batters 1, 2, and 3 are coming up after this. And Blasingame with the hit to the third baseman and thrown out at first. That is Kiana Watson that was thrown out at first. As we've got number 14, Gianna Davis up to bat. Again, top of the lineup for the Rattlers. And that will be called strike 1 with 1 out. As we've got a little discussion here at the pitcher's circle. And we've got a little meeting of the minds here as the batter for FAMU, Davis, as well as Blasingame, had a little bit of a discussion. And the pitch thrown, the 0-1 pitch, hit to the pitcher, Greenlee, and safe at first is Davis.
For the Rattlers, right fielder, number 4, Melkayla Irvis.
And coming up to bat now, Melkayla Irvis, the senior for FAMU, number 4, 333 batting average. And the pitch thrown is called for ball 1. And the next pitch, the 1-1 pitch, was thrown for ball number 2. Please. Plain M&Ms. Plain M&Ms. And the 2-0 pitch by Greenlee makes it 3-0 as Irvis. And the 3-0 pitch is called for ball number 4. Bases loaded here.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, second baseman, number 13, Destiny Cuevas.
And the first pitch by Greenlee to Cuevas is called for strike number 1. And to give you a little update here, if you're paying attention to this as well, San Diego State has a 6-5 lead over Alabama as Cuevas hits the ball into left field at the warning track, and that'll bring one runner around as they try to get another Rattler out at third, and that will put, again, Cuevas at second and Irvis at third. And that will tie the game up here in the top of the third inning with FAMU getting 1 run in. 2 runs in, correction. And Morgan pops one out to center field, and again that will bring in 2 more runs for FAMU as they take a 4-1 lead over the Lady Hornets.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, first baseman, number 8, Janaea Mobley.
And coming up to bat, number 8 in the 5th spot, Janaea Mobley. 6, 7, 8, and 9 batters coming up for FAMU. And the first pitch thrown in the dirt is called for ball 1. And Mobley pops one out again into left field, and that will put Mobley over at first and move Morgan over to second.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, shortstop number 2, Amaya Gaynor.
And coming up now for the Lady Rattlers, number 2, the shortstop, Amaya Gaynor. And hit into center field does Gaynor, and that'll be out number 2 for FAMU. And Natasha Fox is coming up to bat for the Rattlers. And the first pitch by Greenlee is called for ball 1. And the 1-0 is tipped back for strike number 1. And the 1-1 is thrown a little high for ball 2. Let's see if Alabama State can rebound here. And called for strike number 3 is Fox, which will make 3 outs for FAMU. We will move to the bottom of the 3rd inning. And we'll give you a little recap here with no runs, with 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors, and 2 left on base. Again, we'll move to the bottom of the 3rd inning. FAMU 4, Alabama State 1. And we bring you back live as Alexia Denby up to bat for the Hornets here in the bottom of the third inning. And the first pitch thrown is ball one. And the 1-0 pitch is thrown again outside for ball number two. She's been throwing a lot of those pitches high and outside. And the 2-0 pitch again thrown outside for ball number three. And now the pitch count is 3-1. And the 3-1 is popped back for strike number two. 3-2 the count. Need a big hit right here for Denby. And the 3-2 is hit high. And no one called for the ball in center field, and that will put Denby over at second base again with a big hit into center field. Not sure what the miscommunication was there, as you basically had the second baseman, the right fielder, and center fielder all just looking at him was like, what do we do? And that was a big thing to happen for the Lady Hornets. They're behind 4-1. And up to bat now will be Alex Preston in the fourth spot. And we've got a little bit of discussion here. And we've got Lauren Maher coming in to pinch run. And with a little disturbance here as big hit. And that will be out of the park. And a big home run for Alex Preston, as she will send 2 runs around for the Lady Hornets and make the score 4-3 here in the bottom of the third inning. And I think some perfect music here in the stadium, as it was definitely a bomb that was hit out into left field for Alex Preston. And while we have a moment here, we'll give you a little March Madness action, as San Diego State and Alabama are tied at 11 as they're playing that in Louisville, Kentucky, in the Sweet 16. Other games coming up tonight, Miami and Houston, Princeton and Creighton, and the final game tonight will be Xavier and Texas. All coming up tonight. If after you watch this game here tonight, you can switch it over and watch some March Madness action. And also wanted to give you an
Correction.
update
Shortstop number 21, Elena
in
Scott.
baseball action for Alabama State. They win 9-2 over Jackson State, and that's a big win for Alabama State, who is 13-10 overall, and they defeated Jackson State, who is 13-6 overall. As the pitch thrown to Elena Scott is called for ball number 1. And Scott is going to pop one up to the first baseman, and that'll be out number 1 for the Lady Hornets.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, number 22, third baseman, Kiana Parrish.
And Kiana Parrish is coming up to bat now. And the first pitch thrown to Parrish is called for strike number 1. And we'll give you some more softball updates, as well as Alabama A&M defeated Mississippi Valley State 14-6. And Scott hits one to the third baseman and thrown over to first for out number 2. Also another final today, Bethune-Cookman defeated Jackson State today 3-2. And Texas Southern defeated Alcorn State 2-1 in softball competition. And as of right now, we are the only game in action right now, as FAMU leads 4-3 in the bottom of the third inning. And the first pitch thrown to Jasmine Rogers is called for strike number 1. And the next pitch thrown low for ball number 1. And also, too, we'll give you some updates on the SWAC Bowling Championship. Some action here today, as that ball is popped up, and that will make out number 3 for the Hornets.
That'll do it for the third inning, ladies and gentlemen. That was 2 runs off 2 hits. 0 errors.
And
with none
2
left
runs
on base.
off 2 hits, no errors, and none left on base in the bottom of the third inning. We move to the top of the fourth inning, as FAMU still holds on to a 4-3 lead. And we'll be back right after this. And back live here in Montgomery as the first pitch thrown to number 5, Mia Blassingame, is called for ball number 1. And the next pitch thrown by Greenlee is called for strike 1. And the 1-1 is called for strike number 2. And the 1-2 is fouled back into the net. Count still 1-2. And the 1-2 will sit down Blassingame for strike number 3.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, third baseman, number 6, Kiana Watson.
And with 1 out, Kiana Watson has an 0-1 count. And the 1-1 is bunted back into foul territory for strike number 2. And the 1-2, good grief. Close to hitting it back towards the baseball park. Pitch count still 1-2. And the first pitch, and the 1-2 pitch is fouled back again for strike 2. Still strike 2. 1-2 the count. And the next pitch to Watson is called for ball 2. And the 2-2 is called for strike number 3. And that'll make 2 outs for FAMU.
Center fielder number 14, Janiah Davis.
And coming up to bat as the Rattlers reach the top of the lineup as Janiah Davis is up to bat. And the first pitch is called for ball number 1. And the 1-0 is called for strike 1. 2 outs. Top of the 4th inning as FAMU still leads 4-3. And that ball is hit towards the third baseman, And thrown out at first is Davis.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And with no runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base, we head to the bottom of the fourth inning as FAMU still leads 4-3. And we'll be back live after this. And welcome back. Joseph Moore here as we head to the bottom of the fourth inning as FAMU still holds on to a 4-3 lead over your Alabama State Hornets. Again, tomorrow's matchup with FAMU will be at 3 p.m. here at the Barbara Williams Softball Complex. Hope you can come out and join us as we'll have the second of a 3-game series coming up tomorrow. And the first pitch by Zentino is called for ball 1 to Madison Britt. And the 1-0 pitch is called for ball 2. And the 3-0 pitch is called for strike 1. 3-1 the count. No outs here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And the 3-1 is fouled back. Full count for Madison. And 3-2 the count is fouled back. Still the count 3-2. And again, the 3-2 is hit out into right field, and that will be out number 1 for the Lady Hornets.
Second baseman, number 14, Jada Gardner.
And coming up to bat again, number 14, Jada Gardner. And the first pitch thrown to Gardner is called for ball 1. And the 1-0 called now for ball 2. 4-3, Rattlers lead the Hornets. And the 2-0 is tipped back for strike one. And the 2-1 is called for strike two. And the 2-2 is now 3-2, full count for Jada. And the 3-2 is called for strike three, and that'll make 2 outs as Jada went down swinging on the full count pitch. And now coming up to bat in the 1 spot, number 1, Kendall DeRamus. And the first pitch to DeRamus is fouled back for strike one. And the 0-1 is fouled back again for strike two. Katie needs to hit one out in center field. There is a big hole in center field. If she could just nail that spot, but the pitch now by Zentino is thrown in the dirt. Ball number 1. And the 1-2 is called for ball number 2. 2-2 the count with 2 outs. Bottom of the 4th inning. And the 2-2 is hit towards the shortstop, and that'll be out number 3 for Alabama State. With no runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on base, we head to the top of the 5th inning with FAMU 4, Alabama State 3. And Joseph Moore back here at the Barbara Williams Softball Complex as FAMU is holding on to a 4-3 lead here in the top of the 5th inning. As we have number 4, Michaela Urbis up to bat for the Rattlers. And Greenlee with the 0-1 pitch is called for strike number 2. And the 0-2. Thrown a little high, did Greenlee for ball number 1. And that'll be strike number 3 as Irvis will head back to the dugout for out number 1. And coming up to bat for the Lady Rattlers in the 3rd spot, number 13, Destiny Cuevas. And Greenlee with the first pitch is called for strike number 1. And the next pitch thrown by Greenlee is called for ball number 1. And Greenlee with the 1-1 pitch. And bounces off our press box. And called for strike number 2. FAMU playing Alabama State tough today, as that pitch by Greenlee is thrown in the dirt for ball number 1. 2-2 the count. FAMU coming from Tallahassee, Florida. They made the 3-hour and 30-minute trip up here to Montgomery, as that will be called strike number 3 and make it out number 2 for the Rattlers here in the top of the 5th inning. And coming up to bat now in the 4th spot, number 18, Nia Morgan. And great to see Greenlee getting back in a rhythm here, as it's mainly a lot of the hits were made in the 3rd inning by both teams. But now it's kind of turned into a little pitching duel here in the past 2 innings. 1.5 innings here. And that pitch is thrown, called for 1-0. And the next pitch will be fouled back over by the 3rd base line for strike number 1. And we've got a good game here as well in Louisville, Kentucky in the Sweet 16, as San Diego State is leading Alabama 28-23 with about a minute and a half left in the first half. Also a big win today for the Alabama State baseball team, as they defeated Jackson State 9-2. Now let's see if Alabama State here in the softball part can notch one out. And again, that pitch thrown on the 1-1 count now makes it 1-2. Strike 2 for Nia Morgan. And the next pitch thrown by Greenlee makes the count 2-2. And we want to thank all of y'all that are watching today on our YouTube page, Alabama State Sports. And that will be called foul, as the count will remain 2-2. And the next pitch again by Greenlee, fouls back again here into the net, and still makes the count 2-2. And again, now the count 3-2. And the full count pitch will walk Nia Morgan over to first base. And with 2 outs, that'll bring up number 8, Janaea Mobley. 316 batting average on the season. One of the heavy hitters here for the Rattlers. And the first pitch by Greenlee is thrown high for ball 1. And the 1-0 is called for ball 2. And the pitch thrown on the 2-0 count is popped up into left field, and that'll make out number 3 for the Lady Rattlers. With no runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left on base, we move to the bottom of the 5th inning with your score, FAMU 4, Alabama State 3. And welcome back. Joseph Moore here as we take you to the bottom of the 5th inning as Alabama State is up to bat with FAMU with a 4-3 lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And the first pitch by Zentino is called 4-1. And the next pitch, thrown by Zentino, is called for strike 1. And the 1-1 thrown makes it 2-1. And Madison Myers fouls it back for strike number 2. Make the count 2-2 with no outs here in the bottom of the 5th. And the 2-2 is hit towards center field, and that will put Myers over at first base.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, left fielder number 5, Alexia Denby.
And here comes Alexia Denby, the left fielder in the 3rd spot, .354 batting average on the season. And the first pitch is thrown to Denby for strike 1. And the 0-1 thrown outside for ball 1. And the 1-1 is fouled back again by Denby for strike number 2. And the 1-2 to Denby, low and outside for ball 2. And the 2-2 is fouled back. And the 2-2 fouled back again. And the 2-2 is high and outside, but Myers makes her way over to second base for the steal. And the 3-2. And the 3-2 to Denby is fouled back. And again, the 3-2. My goodness. Denby battling at the plate. Way to battle there, Denby. Again, she has a 3-2 count, full count. And the 3-2. High and outside for ball number 4. That will put Denby over at first. Myers remains at second.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, first baseman number
And here
27,
comes,
Alex
in the fourth spot,
Preston.
number 27, Alex Preston. Batters 5, 6, and 7. Up next in the lineup, Alabama State with no outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And the first pitch thrown to Preston is called for ball 1. Again, she threw one of the, Zenteno threw one of those outside pitches, and again, she does the same. And that'll be 2-0 the count. And the count now 3-0. And again, now we've got bases loaded.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, shortstop number 21, Elena Scott.
And here comes Elena Scott in the 5th spot. 6, 7, and 8 coming up next for the Hornets. And no outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Bases loaded for the Hornets. And that'll be called strike 1 for Elena Scott. And fouled back again for strike 1. And the pitch hit to the second baseman and caught for out number 1.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, third baseman number 22, Kiana Perry.
And up to bat now for the Lady Hornets, third baseman number 22, Kiana Parrish. And the first pitch thrown is called for ball number 1. And the pitch thrown on a 1-0 is fouled back for strike 1. And the 1-1 is in the dirt for ball 2. And the 2-1 is thrown outside for ball 3. And we've got a meeting of the minds here in the pitcher's circle. Let's see what they're going to call right here. We'll take a timeout here. FAMU 4, Alabama State 3. And back live, they're going to keep Zenteno in the pitcher's circle. And Kiana Parrish fouls it back for strike 2. Again, full count for the Hornets. Three and 2 the count. Bases loaded. And the next pitch is thrown into center field. And that will bring in a run for Alabama State, tying it up 4-3 here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, number 8, Jasmine.
And Jasmine Rogers coming up to bat, 286 batting average on the year. And giving you another update here in March Madness. Big game in the first half in Kansas City as the Miami Hurricanes are leading the number 1 seed, Houston Cougars, 27-23 with 7:31 left to go in the first half. And here comes the pitcher, Bailey Greenlee. Coming in for Jasmine Rogers. And Bailey's going to hit it to the third baseman. And that will make out number 3 for the Alabama State Hornets. And in the bottom of the 5th inning, with 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 left on base, we head to the top of the 6th inning with FAMU and Alabama State tied at 4 apiece. And Joseph Moore back here in Montgomery as the pitch thrown to Amaya Gaynor was hit to the third baseman. And let's see. Looks like FAMU is going to bring in a pinch runner. We'll see what they call right here. And coming up to bat, pinch hitting for the Rattlers, Nariah Lee. And the first pitch thrown to Lee is called for strike one. And the 0-1 as Lee tried to bunt it, and that'll make strike two. And the 0-2. Man, oh man, thought that would have been strike three for Lee. But the count now is 1-2. And the 1-2 is called for strike three. That'll be one out for the Rattlers here in the top of the sixth.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, left fielder number 5, Mia Blassingay.
And now, after the pinch hit, they'll bring up in the 8th spot number 5, Mia Blassingay, as Mia bunts the ball, and that's fair, and thrown high back to third base by Greenlee, and that'll put the runner at first as Blassingay will be moved to first. And Kiana Watson is up to bat in the 9th spot for the Rattlers. And the first pitch thrown outside for ball one. And the 1-0 is swung for strike one. And the next pitch on the 1-1 is fouled back for strike two. And the 1-2 is swung for strike number 3, and that'll make 2 outs for the Rattlers.
Back to the top of the rotation for the Rattlers, center fielder number 14, Janiah Davis.
And Janiah Davis, the senior, coming up to bat Batters 2, 3, and 4 up next for the Rattlers. 2 on base with 2 outs. And the first pitch is bunted in foul territory. And with 2 outs and an 0-1 pitch, we'll see if Greenlee can sit this one down. Up to bat is Janiah Davis, top of the lineup for the Rattlers. And did she go? My goodness. That looked like strike number 2. And the crowd here in Montgomery's getting a little rowdy, as that probably should have been out number 3. And the hit by Davis will put bases loaded for the Rattlers. Hold on. We'll see what they're calling here. And that will do it for the top of the 6th inning with no runs, 3 hits, no errors, and 2 left on base. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th inning with FAMU 4, Alabama State 4, and we'll be back for more action right after this. Back live here in Montgomery, Joseph Moore here as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning with Madison Britt up to bat in the 8th spot. Batters 9, 1, and 2 coming up next for the Lady Hornets. We're all tied up at 4 here in the bottom of the 6th. Let's see what this part of the lineup will do as the first pitch thrown to Britt is called for strike 1. And the next pitch thrown to Britt is called for strike 2. And the next pitch thrown will be called for ball 1. One, two, the count. And the 1-2 is called for ball 2. And Britt goes down with 3 strikes, and that'll make out number 1 for the Lady Hornets.
Number 24, Zoe Disrow.
And now coming up to bat for a pinch hitter, number 24, Zoe Disrow. And the first pitch thrown to Disrow is called for strike 1. Count now 1-1 with 1 out. And thrown high and outside for ball 2. Pitch count now at 2-1 and thrown in the dirt for ball 3. And full count now for Disrow. And the hit by Disrow, and she'll be called out for out number 2.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, center fielder number 1, Kendall Doremus.
And up to bat now for the Lady Hornets, Kendall Doremus in the top of the lineup. And the first pitch thrown will be for ball one. And the next pitch thrown will be for strike one to Kendall. And the hit thrown. Will she be out? No. Kendall is safe at first.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, right fielder number 2, Madison Myers.
And here comes up to bat Madison Myers. And the first pitch thrown to Myers is called for strike one, and Doremus steals second. And the 1-1 is hit towards the third baseman and thrown over to first base for out number 3. We will head to the bottom, or excuse me, to the top of the 7th inning with no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. And we'll move to the top of the 7th inning, all tied up at 4.
Information on Alabama State Athletics. Be sure to follow us on Twitter.
And welcome back to the top of the 7th inning, as the first pitch thrown is called for out number 1.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, second baseman number 13, Destiny.
And now up to bat in the 3rd spot, number 13, Destiny Cuevas. And the first pitch thrown to Cuevas is called for strike 1. again, the home umpire had to make the call to the first base umpire, and that will be ball one. 1-1 the count, and thrown in the dirt for strike two. And the 1-2 is hit to the shortstop, and that will be out number 2 for the Rattlers.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, catcher number 18, Nia Morgan.
And coming up, number 18, Nia Morgan. And the first pitch to Morgan is called for ball one. And the next pitch, is it out of the park? No, it's at the warning track. And that will advance the runner, Morgan, over to second base.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, first baseman number 8, Janaea Mobley.
And now coming up, Janaea Mobley in the 5th spot. 6, 7, and 8 will be coming up next for the Rattlers with 2 outs. And 4-4 your score here in the top of the 7th. And the first pitch is thrown low and inside for ball one. And the next pitch is fouled back for strike one. One and one the count with 2 outs. And fouled back again into the net for strike two. And the 1-2 is popped up into the stands here. Count still 1-2. And the next pitch thrown is 2-2. Mobley with a 2-2 count. And the next pitch is hit and caught by the shortstop for out number 3. And in the top of the 7th, with no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base, we move to the bottom of the 7th inning, all tied up at 4. And now coming up to bat is in the third spot, number 5, Alexia Denby. And the first pitch is thrown 1-0. And thrown outside for ball 2. And the next pitch thrown low for ball 3. And the count, full count, 3-2. Oh, excuse me, 2-2 the count. And 3-2 is the count. Full count. And still battling. Still 3-2. And that'll be ball number 4, as Alexia Denby will make her way over to first.
First baseman, number 27, Alex Preston.
And coming up to bat now will be number 27, Alex Preston. And the first pitch to Preston is called for ball 1. Count now 2-2. As Preston still up to bat, and the pitch thrown just outside for ball number 3. And the 3-0 will walk Preston over to first and move Denby over to second. And now here comes number 21, Elena Scott. And we've got a meeting here at the pitcher's circle.
Pitch running for the Hornets, number 6, Haley Dyson.
And Haley Dyson coming in to pinch run for Alex Preston. And the first pitch thrown is called for ball 1. And the 1-0 pitch tries to go for a bunt. And we have a runner safe at third. Oh my goodness, is she still going to run? Denby wanted to go home, but looking over at Coach Bradley, had to kind of rein her in a little bit. Count still 1-1. And here we go. Alabama State will win 5-4. And what a great hit.
That'll do it, ladies and gentlemen.
What a great hit for the Hornets as Alabama State wins 5-4 in a thriller here in 7 innings. We will have game 2. We will have game 2 tomorrow against FAMU at 3 p.m. Again, tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. It'll be Alabama State and FAMU again for game number 2. For Joseph Moore, that will end our broadcast here tonight with your final score, Alabama State 5, FAMU 4. Thank you as always for joining us.